It's 19 hours GMT. Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to News 360. There's live news up here at Desawe in Kanda in Accra. My name is Alfred Okansi.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up, the headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paint,
GT Bank, and Piccadilly Biscuits.
Minority in Parliament call for the withdrawal of the AGM petroleum agreement.
The Ghana Federation of Disability approves raised Junction footbridge at Adenta, but wants city authorities to rid it of hawkers who obstruct their movement.
And also coming up, on Accra High Court grants former Chief Executive Officer of the Venture Capital Trust Fund, Daniel Duku, and 5 others bail after being charged with causing financial loss to the state to the tune of 42.8 million cedis.
And also tonight, Teachers and Education Workers Union TEWU call for a renegotiation of the 20% incentive package offered its members by the Ghana Education Service.
Coming up on Mission tonight, some female aspiring assembly members in the Cape Coast metropolis to go ahead in the polls despite the constant insults they have to endure.
And on the firing front, Cyclone Fani slams into India's eastern coastline, bringing torrential rains and winds of up to 200 kilometers per hour.
We have details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. And in our very first story tonight, an Accra High Court has granted the former Chief Executive Officer of the Venture Capital Trust Fund, Daniel Duku, and 5 others bail after they were charged with causing financial loss to the state to the tune of 42.8 million cedis. And this followed a plea of not guilty by all 6 accused persons to all 86 counts of stealing and causing financial loss to the state. A report by Salom Amenya.
The former CEO was granted bail in the sum of 50 million Ghana cedis with 3 sureties, all to be justified. The second accused person, a former MP for Keta and member of the Board of Trustees of the Venture Capital Trust Fund, Richard Lassie Agbenyefia, together with the 6th accused, Charity Opoku, who was an accountant with the Venture Capital, were each granted a bail of 30 million cedis with 3 sureties to be justified. The 4th accused person, Kofi Sapon, an investment officer with the company then, on the other hand, was granted bail of 40 million cedis with 3 sureties, all to be justified. The 3rd and 5th accused persons, Irene Enti Mensah and Frank Abuaji Mensah, were each granted a bail of 20 million cedis with 2 sureties to be justified. Lawyer for the first accused person, Ellis Owusu-Fojo, applied for bail for his client and former Chief Executive Officer, Daniel Duku, arguing that his client was not a flight risk and had cooperated in the last 2 years with investigative bodies Yoko and BNI. Lawyers of the remaining 5 accused persons followed with bail applications for their client. The Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, after the bail application, indicated that the state is not opposed to the application but will recommend that strict conditions be attached to it by the court. The High Court, presided over by Justice Anthony Opon, handed the 6 accused persons the bail conditions. All the accused persons were ordered to deposit their passports with the registrar of the court with liberty to apply for same if need be. After the ruling, lawyers for the accused persons were visibly unhappy with the conditions attached to the bail granted by the court. The accused persons, after the court sitting, were whisked to Yoko to begin the process of fulfilling the bail conditions. Per the facts of the case, Daniel Duku facilitated the recruitment of Irene and Sapon, who were his work colleagues at the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority, GIPA. Upon assumption of office, the former CEO introduced a loan scheme named Development Assistance Fund, DAF, to provide credit directly to individuals and companies in clear contravention of the VCTF Act and contrary to the objects of VCTF. Despite the advice of solicitors of the Venture Capital Trust Fund on the illegality of the proposed loan scheme, he allegedly managed to obtain the approval of the board. The case has been adjourned to May 24.
And now the Teachers and Education Workers Union, TEWO, has expressed dissatisfaction at the 20% incentive package offered its members by the Ghana Education Service. According to the leadership of the union, that's TEWO, their share is woefully inadequate, but have asked their members to remain calm for the issue to be addressed.
Government announced an 80% incentive package for teachers in senior high schools and 20% to non-teaching staff who are members of TEWO. The situation has created tension among the non-teaching staff who are members of TEWO, with some threatening a strike if their share is not renegotiated.
If you look at the non-teaching staff, there is no break. And especially if you go to the kitchen, for instance, they come to work as early as 4 a.m. and close as late as 8 p.m., sometimes 10 p.m. And if you have a situation like this, as opposed to somebody who comes and teaches just 2 hours in a day and goes to rest, when incentives are being shared, naturally, we require that the one who is doing more should be given more.
The TEWO chairman, Peter Lumo, blamed the former secretary, Augustine Cabo, for not briefing the leadership of the union after attending a meeting on the 20% share.
We were being told that there was a meeting where TEWO was represented by the general secretary. He didn't mention, I will mention, TEWO was represented by the general secretary, that is Augustine Cabo, that he was in a meeting when they agreed on the 20 and 80. This we did not know. We did not know. That is why we issued that statement. But agreement is an agreement. But like the general secretary said, yes, for now, you had a representative there that they agreed on 80 and 20, and they've issued a statement. They cannot change it.
He is, however, pleading with his members to remain calm for the issue to be addressed.
So for me, we will appeal to our members. Yes, we know that they are not happy. But the truth is that somebody represented you and agreed on something. A statement has been issued. You cannot change it now. The promise is that moving forward, the 20% will be looked at.
Well, today is World Press Freedom Day, and government is to set up a national coordinating mechanism to promote the safety of journalists. Deputy Information Minister Pius Enam Hajide, who made this known at this year's celebration of World Press Freedom Day in Accra, said no citizen, much less a journalist, should be subject to attack no matter what.
According to the global organization Committee to Protect Journalists, 88 journalists have been killed between 2018 and 2019 alone, and 60 others missing. The safety and the protection of journalists were the highlights of this year's World Press Freedom Day. Recent attacks on journalists and press freedom were the focus of the event following the assassination of Tiger Eye PI investigative journalist Ahmed Swali and the attack on Star FM's journalist in Bolgatanga, Edward Adeti. Deputy Information Minister Pius Enam Hajide said government is committed to ensure a safe environment for all Ghanaians to live and work freely.
As a country, we are making steady progress towards a conducive environment for the practice of journalism. From the liberalization of the media space, to the repeal of the criminal libel laws, to the recent passage of the Right to Information Act, and let me inform that the Ministry of Information has already begun consultations towards the development of an implementation roadmap, and we count on the support of the media in this regard. The protection of media for this government and under this dispensation is also about to witness a boost with the introduction of a national coordinating mechanism on the safety of journalists. And this must happen under the minister's instructions before July.
He, however, urged journalists to be circumspect and factual in their reportage and uphold the tenets of the profession.
We must work to be able to differentiate facts from opinion. We cannot sacrifice balanced reportage on the altar of expediency and getting ahead of the market.
In a related development, President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Afel Moni, suggested that the national security provides protection for journalists across the country.
We vehemently condemn the threats and robbery perpetrated against the reporter, as we urge the national security to move with urgent promptitude to provide all the protection he desperately needs.
The theme for the 2019 World Press Freedom Day is Media and Democracy, Journalism and Election in Times of Disinformation.
And the security and protection of journalists is extremely important. Let's just stay with this particular subject. President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Afel Moni, has downplayed criticisms that the association does not do much to protect journalists. Speaking on the sidelines at the event to mark the World Press Freedom Day here in Ghana, he said decisive action is being taken to ensure journalists work freely and responsibly.
Speaking on the sidelines of the World Press Freedom Day, Mr. Moni said accusations against the association is not founded, adding that legal action has been brought against persons who have attacked journalists in the country.
In terms of the 3 Ghana Times journalists who were brutalized in the full glare of the public, our team of lawyers are working on a civil suit to deal with the issue. So that's what I said. Sometimes some of the allegations are not rooted in facts. Some of the allegations lack the substratum of facts. So the fact is that while condemning, we are also moving legally to ensure that the law is applied. The IGP moved swiftly by interdicting the officer, prosecuting him to the extent that the officer was fined. This is only one step. We are not satisfied, even though we accept that this has been a departure from the norm.
He also added that the GJA works closely with the security agencies to protect and investigate reports of attacks on journalists.
We have called on the security apparatus to move with urgent promptitude to extend a stronger cover of protection to Eddie of Star FM. We have slipped on the league table of the World Press Freedom because of such attacks of scandalous frequency. As a nation, we are governed by law. So in a rule of law dispensation, we expect the law to move to the side of those whose lives are threatened.
The World Press Freedom Day 2019 was on the theme Media and Democracy, Journalism and Election in Times of Disinformation.
Certainly, journalism is not a crime, and that's exactly what we stick to. But a military officer, a police officer, and a civilian accomplice are in the grips of the Accra Regional Police Command for armed robbery. The 2 security officers have been on court bail for earlier robbery offenses before their arrest at Israel in the South municipality of the Greater Accra region. The suspected armed robbers are Crosby Oforidanso, 41, unemployed, Lance Corporal Asamoah, 33, a policeman previously stationed at Kaswa, and Corporal Bernard Chagli, 39, a military officer. According to the police, Corporal Chagli claimed he was stationed at the 37 Military Hospital Quartermaster stores. The 2 security officers have since been interdicted, facing service enquiries in their various institutions for an earlier robbery. The police alleged both the military and policemen were involved in series of robberies within Accra and its environs together with other accomplices. According to the police, the gang trailed people who go to withdraw money from the bank, arrest them on false allegations, put them into waiting taxis, and on the way pull a gun on them for the money. The suspects currently in police custody will be put before court when investigations are complete.
It's now time for Mission, and Mission is brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, UK Aid and the EU. Let's go to the Central Region, where some female aspirants for the District Assembly elections in the Cape Coast metropolis say they will go ahead to contest the polls despite the insults they constantly have to endure. Bright Nana Amfo tells the story of Georgina Yawson, whose dream is to represent the Chapel Square Victoria Park electoral area.
A mother of three, Georgina's dream is big. She wants to lead an electoral area where many say it has always been the preserve of men.
Because we are women, we think and take decisions about the larger society. So when we take up political positions, we take better decisions.
Those around her
The Chapel Square Victoria Park electoral area has a lot of potential. It is a great tourist site, but it has challenges. For the Chapel Square Victoria Park electoral area, toilet facilities are not common at all. There are about 5 of them here, but these 2 you can see behind me are not functioning. People who live around here have therefore turned the shores into a place of convenience. Every morning you find hundreds of people defecating in the open here. Georgina says this will be one of her focus.
Mary Hono aza oyin yana pay toilet facilities. They sometimes walk around the beaches, which is very bad.
Toilet facilities are a challenge. Our beaches are dirty and people engage in open defecation. I will champion construction of toilet facilities in my electoral area.
Toilet facility.
She's also interested in pushing education to a higher level in the electoral area.
Education is a challenge. Parents find it difficult funding their children's education. I will find a way to support parents.
But before she achieves this, she has hurdles to cross. She is battling perception that the assembly work is for men only, and that women should not attempt it.
Courageous to contest with the men. Now, one marital status also at times or count.
Women are sometimes not courageous. Some have lost marriages and it is used against them as being of poor morals. Women are insulted and defamed, therefore do not want to contest district level elections.
Posters na them ejume or yembenin free jumona ebotum na aya na a lot of insult, and if you don't have that courage now, I don't think you can go into it.
This will not deter her. Her dream is bigger than name calling and discouragement. Her constituents are ready to push her up.
We are praying for her so she will win and bring development to the electoral area, and so I will ask all to support her.
For many residents, the men have failed.
So far, Besia assembly woman wahada.
We have never had a woman assembly member, and so we are happy she wants to contest. We will campaign for her so she wins. Some suggested a man should go, but we have elected men and not achieved anything, and so we will try a woman too.
Residents of the Chapel Square Victoria Park electoral area are optimistic a female assembly member will deliver. Chapel Square, Victoria Park electoral area has tried men. This time, they want to try women. Bright Nananfo, TV3, Cape Coast.
Well, all the best to Georgina. Hopefully, she will get the nod to represent her people in the district level elections. And that's it for Mission. Mission is brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from the NIDA, UK Aid and the EU. Thanks so much for watching.
Welcome back to the business news here on News 360. A savings and investments tutor, Patrick Abankwaba, has blamed the poor savings habit among Ghanaians on the country's culture and lack of financial education. Ghana's deposit rate of 8.9% is, however, ranked as one of the best and actually the highest in the sub-region.
There's no conscious effort in this country to teach people how to save. There was a research that was done 2015 or so, and it came out that only 30% of Ghanaians save and have bank account. Clearly, this is a mismatch. In a country where we have very good deposit rate, there should be a ripple effect when it comes to savings. We spend it, whatever is left, then we take it to the bank that is savings. That's not savings. It should be a conscious effort.
Savings is that portion of income one chooses not to spend, but put aside for the unforeseeable future. The investment tutor, Patrick Abankwaba, said the first step to savings is to develop a budget whereby your expenditure is not higher than your income. He suggests a bank standing order, an instruction a bank account holder gives to his or her bank to pay a set amount at irregular intervals to another's or different accounts.
It should not just be a savings account. They need to keep money in the account and invest to earn something. Best strategy when it comes to creating savings for yourself is that you need to make sure you open a distinct account from your main salary account.
The personal savings and investment tutor blamed the low level of savings in the country on people's lifestyle and culture.
We don't have a personal budget. We don't have any plan. We don't plan our lives. It has to do with the issue of lifestyle, culture. Yes, what is trending, that's where we spend most of our monies. A lot of people are also into a lot of excessive travelings. They travel almost every weekend for parties, for funerals. Don't forget, any travel that you engage yourself in, you go with money. If you don't take good care of our health, if you are lucky and work in a company that has insurance for your health, that's okay. People also don't trust their financial institutions now.
Patrick Abankwaba underscored not much emphasis is placed on the financial needs of the younger generation. He indicated the youth should be trained to be financially disciplined.
Most parents, all they care about is to take their kids to school, for them to finish school, get a good job. But we don't put much emphasis on their financial needs. Now, don't forget that if you're not able to create that financial education whilst they are young, when they grow, it's not possible. Jack Benny says something that if you are not able to save whilst you earn something small, when you earn something big, you cannot save. It's an established fact. So the younger generation should be advised and should be trained on how to be financially disciplined whilst they are young. Because when they don't cultivate that habit and they grow, trust me, whatever they get to, they will be going with the spirit of wastefulness.
Well, Deputy Trade Minister Carlos Ahenkra has reiterated government's commitment towards the structural transformation of the economy, which will take Ghana beyond aid. He made the observation during a tour of the new steel manufacturing company at Bong under the One District, One Factory initiative.
Work on the factory is expected to be completed by September this year. Deputy Trade Minister Carlos Ahenkra was impressed with the progress work. He said the manufacturing sector could reduce unemployment and thereby spur economic growth, enhance productivity and improve living standards.
From that side, you come to the other side, you have the smelter where they're going to melt the scrap, and it turns to steel and comes as a finished product on this area. This is a massive industry, and this couldn't have happened but for the visionary leadership ideology of President Nana Akufo-Addo. It's one district, one factory pronouncement or project is what has churned out something like this.
The managing director of B5 Plus, Mukesh Takwani, requested government to support businesses by considering a reduction in utility tariffs.
Telecom operator Airtel Tigo has announced an initiative to deepen its long-standing commitment to also help in the development of the communities in the Ashanti, Bono and Ahafo regions. The launch of the Yankoswonti project will see the company investing in education of children in those local communities. The company also presented 20,000 cedis to the Otumfuo Charity Foundation.
Under the Yankoswonti initiative, Airtel Tigo will invest 1% of its proceeds from airtime recharges into the development of educational facilities in disadvantaged communities in selected regions. Beneficiary schools will be selected by an evaluation committee over the next 3 months. Public schools and community members are encouraged to submit applications to Airtel Tigo shops across the regions. Chief Executive of Airtel Tigo, Metwa Nkaimba Ngambi, made this known at a media launch of the initiative at the Mensha Palace in Kumasi after a courtesy call on the Asantehene Otumfuo Tutu II. Airtel Tigo congratulated the Asantehene on his 20 years on the golden stool and supported the Otumfuo Charity Foundation with 20,000 cedis.
We, on behalf of the board, management and staff of Airtel Tigo, came to wish him well and nothing but success for the future. For that reason, in honor of his anniversary, 20th year anniversary, as well as his birthday, we as Airtel Tigo have committed to the education fund of the kingdom 20,000 Ghanaian cedis that would go towards supporting educational initiatives, renovation of schools, etc.
The chief executive noted investing in education is crucial to sustainable national development.
Separately, as Airtel Tigo, we are committing 1% of sales that will go to all schools within the region. This is outside of the foundation.
Through this initiative, Airtel Tigo expects to meet the needs of several schools.
Well, the country's currency continues to have a stable relationship with the dollar. As you can see there, it's about 5 cedis and 80 pesos to the dollar as we speak. Well, that's it for the business news this evening. Over to you, Portia.
Thank you very much, Alfred. Let's now continue with the rest of our stories. And 2-year-old Edna needs urgent financial support to undergo a colon bypass surgery. Doctors at the pediatric surgery unit of the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital in Kumasi say until the corrective procedure, Edna cannot eat through the mouth.
Edna accidentally drank caustic soda when she was just about a year old. Her parents, who are farmhands at the Chumesi Krom in the Bono region, say they left their child in the care of a co-tenant who uses the caustic soda for soup making. The little girl drank the substance, burning her throat and food pipe. For the past 9 months, Edna walks about with this tube connected to her stomach through which she feeds.
Doctor the two portion yam nti koko na se salalata na ma twi na ma bieswa na ma mia gu ne yam na eko disa na me ya me mana aduane 2 years 3 months jo wo de no ko school am je no e nam se tubu no hye ne yam nti ne ayi madam bia ni wo obeje no kire se on ntimi mfidi no nti o fie sa da bia o tare me so ntimi yahwe biem afom kura obi be kamba de kura ntimi ko.
To enable her eat through the mouth, her parents have to pay 16,000 cedis, which they cannot afford. Her mother, Rita, laments the child's situation has worsened the family's economic hardship. Schools are refusing her admission due to the complex nature of her condition.
To aid her, to help her to feed in this state, we construct what we call the feeding gastrostomy tube.
where we put a tube through the skin into the stomach where she can be fed through, because now the feeding through the mouth into the stomach is unavailable. So we now construct that for them to be able to feed and then gain some weight as a usual child. And usually we do this awaiting the definitive surgery, the final surgery, which we call the colon bypass surgery.
There are about 150 caustic soda-related surgeries pending at the pediatric surgery unit of the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital.
The minority in Parliament is demanding the immediate withdrawal of the controversial AGM petroleum agreement. The minority is alleging that Ghana's stake in the said oil contract would reduce to about 18% from 43% as currently is the state. The AGM petroleum agreement was signed in 2013 and came up for review in 2018, which was blocked by then Energy Minister Boakye Jarko.
The minority claims the deal will lead to a potential loss of over 250 million barrels of recoverable oil, estimated at over $10 million. At a press briefing, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu questioned the essence of the renegotiation.
43 and 18%. We are all students of arithmetic. Who preserve and who secured the better national interest? Without any fear of contradiction, we think President Mahama and the NDC did under the previous agreement. And it is even more worrying and more compelling. In the assessment of seismic data at the time, we are now very close. And for the record again, we in the minority, we believe that this renegotiated agreement is a complete sell-off, particularly that there is evidence that the GNPC itself invested over 30 million in acquiring data and reducing exploration risks over the block, thus making it attractive prior to the entry of AGM Aka Energy. So it means the prospect is even brighter and greater than the period in 2013 when President Mahama and the rest negotiated it. For the record again, this is the first time in many years, guided by the Nigerian and Norwegian example, that we have rise through petroleum exploratory and production agreement to Parliament and want it passed within 1 week. We need adequate time. We need a sober mind to reflect over the content of the agreement to secure the best for the state of Ghana.
Away from Parliament, the Ghana Federation of Disability Association has approved the Junction footbridge at Adenta, but wants city authorities to rid it of hawkers who obstruct their movement. Concern raised is the length of the bridge lightening and government ensuring that hawkers do not flood the footbridge to obstruct their movement. A report by Wendy Lai and Elizabeth Usuachum.
Series of road accidents have been recorded on this Medina Adentan stretch. Lives have been lost on this stretch as well. Last year there was an uproar and residents who live in this community called on government to construct the footbridges. Eventually, government heeded to their call and the contracts was re-awarded. Right behind me is the Junction footbridge, which also has ramps. We will be interacting with residents on their experience as they use this footbridge, as well as interact with members of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations who are here to do their assessment. Elvis Kosi Alipui, Patience Atipoka Itwa, and Christopher Agbega are members of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. They are all physically challenged but have variations. Representing the organization, they wanted first-hand experience in accessing the Junction footbridge. The footbridge is about 65 meters long. From Adentan to Accra on the left side, it is 148 meters long.
and 138 meters on the right side.
Being a person with disability, physically disabled in the wheelchair, first time you use this bridge and the ramps is accessible to me personally.
Everybody, like for everybody with a disability, you should be able to use it, unlike other places where you find stairs and then it's difficult to use. But for me in particular too, I have an issue. The only issue I had is with the distance. It's quite a long distance. I don't see myself using this on a daily basis.
But they had concerns.
It will occupy by the hawkers. So we sincerely have to look about all these things. Otherwise, it's accessible today, tomorrow it will not be accessible. Whatever you are want to do suits the person with disability, we want to be involved at the early planning stage. That is our core.
Can there be some supervision? At least someone should be here, from time to time to make sure that we don't have pockets taking over the footbridges. And then another concern I have with the metal railings is usually on a hot day like this, they are very hot. So it's very difficult, it's hot to touch. So I'm sure that there's a way. I've seen something somewhere. It's more like a cushion-like rubber. They wrap around the handle so you can hold and then use.
Christopher Adbegan was not able to walk the full length of the bridge.
It's a motor sensory neuropathy, and so it's more nervous. It's a nervous condition, and when it happens like that, normally when there's exhaustion, like when the sun is up and all of these other weather conditions, it tends to have its own effect on me. To that length, I think, yes, it is accessible. You could tell that it is lengthy, yes, but the length has to do with the universal design. Otherwise, if you are building the if you are making it accessible, you are trying as much as possible to follow the measurements and not making it steep.
Right, so tonight we'll start with the Maven Records. Award-winning Nigerian singer Tiwa Savage has parted ways with Nigeria's Maven Records after 7 years with the label. The First Lady of the label had now signed an exclusive recording agreement with Universal Music Group, one of the world's leading music groups.
Tiwa Savage, ole, ole, see him still in my heart, away.
Tiwa Tope Savage, professionally known as Tiwa Savage, is one of Africa's biggest music stars with a resilient force within Africa's ever-growing entertainment industry. Savage has been active in her philanthropic endeavors, supporting various youth engagement organizations within Nigeria and beyond.
Make we scatter this place tonight. Dance and sweat till like in a fight. Settle this thing tonight, yeah.
The news of her exit from the label was shared by label owner Don Jazzy. In a farewell message posted on his Instagram page, Don Jazzy thanked the singer for 7 fruitful years on Marvin Records. On Thursday, May 2, Universal Music Group, UMG, announced an exclusive global recording agreement with Nigerian singer and songwriter Tiwa Savage. Tiwa described the moment as her biggest goal to make Africa proud.
It's definitely an honor to have an artist like me from Nigeria doing, Afrobeat music, which is still fairly new to the rest of the world.
Tiwa's new works will be released in over 60 countries across the world through the UMG. Throughout summer 2019, Tiwa will play a string of international festivals, including the UK's Wireless Festival, Afropunk in Paris, and O Mine Festival in Amsterdam. In 2018, the acclaimed singer, songwriter, and fashion icon was crowned Best African Act by the MTV European Music Awards, making history as the first female to win the accolade.
Yeah, I'm coming to cause trouble.
And that's about it for entertainment news tonight. There's more news on 3news.com. I'm Miriam Osei Ajman. I'm black and very proud.
My name is Alfred Okanse. I am black and so proud.
And I am Portia Gabo. I am black and proud.